This is literal equations, and I won't be showing you any quiz questions from this one because the quiz questions will be examples to see if you can answer them. This is a lesson that's typically thought of as being one of the more difficult ones, although some students get it pretty easily. So if you need to rewatch, do that. Look at some of the strategies that I show you. That might be helpful. So first thing, it's just an equation that has multiple variables. Okay, and so typically you have something like that. It's your formula before you start putting in your unknowns. Okay, you guys have used area equals length times width. Well, A equals LW. You have all those variables, then you start plugging in as you know. Okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to manipulate those formulas, and that's used quite a bit to help make things a little bit quicker. And one thing that I recommend if you're having difficulty is to replace the variables with numbers in order to help find the process, because most of these you know how to solve, but the variables are messing you up. So I'm showing you how you can replace these to solve. You might want to pause this and write down what I've written in blue, because in blue I have shown how you can rewrite each of these. And then I'm going to go through and show you how that can be helpful in order to solve. Okay, for number one it says solve for n, and I have 15 is equal to 3n plus 6p. So what I did over here to show you guys is I turned everything into numbers except for the variable I'm looking for, so that part didn't change. And so what I can do is I can help figure out, okay, how do I need to solve that? And most of you will say I need to subtract 6 and then divide by 3. So most of you would be able to figure that out. It's the same thing over here. I'm going to subtract 6p, but these are not like terms, so I can't combine them. So what I have is 15 minus 6p equals 3n. And then I need to solve for n, so it's 3 multiplied by n, so I need to divide both sides by 3. So 15 minus 6p over 3 is equal to n, just like I divide 3 over here. One last thing I can do, though, is I can simplify. That's because all of these numbers are divisible by 3. And it only works if all of these are divisible. So 3 goes into 3 one time, 5 times, and 2. So I get 5 minus 2p is equal to n. So remember, you could use this as a guide on what steps to do, and then you can only simplify at the end as long as everything is divisible by the same number. Make sure you draw the fraction bar like this, because you're dividing the entire side, not just this or just that. Everything. Look at number 2. Circumference is equal to 2 pi r, so that's something you've seen multiple times. So here, I've shown how you could replace it with numbers, and that's just so you can figure out what steps you might take. So in that case, I would divide by 16, but it means I'm dividing by the 2, 8. So over here, to solve for r, I'm going to divide by 2 pi on both sides. Remember, what you do on one side of the equation, do it on the other. So circumference divided by 2 pi is equal to the radius. And that's it. Can't do anything else. So if there's two things that are multiplied, divide by both of those at the same time. Make sure you remember that. Okay, I'm going to show you that on number 3 too. Divide by both of those at the same time. Number 3, I'm solving for W. So here's my example. But what I have is L multiplied by W multiplied by H. So all I have over here is multiplication. So I'm going to divide to undo it. Remember, this is what I showed you to watch out for. divide by both at the same time. So I'm dividing by L and H. So my volume divided by length times height is equal to the width. Okay, let's look at number 4. Okay, number 4 looks like this. Once again, I have drawn this over here to show what to do, but there's only one step. I'd add 2. So over here I have k minus 2 is equal to 11j. I want to solve for k. So the only thing over here on this side of the equal sign is the minus 2. So to get rid of that, I must add 2 to both sides of the equal sign. Since this has a j and this does not, they are not like terms. I cannot combine them, so here's my answer. Okay, next one. So I have this, and I've showed you how you might rewrite it to help you out. There's multiple ways to solve this, so I'm going to show you both ways. So here I'm going to write it again. So if you'll remember what parentheses means in this case, I have x multiplied by this. I have a multiplication problem. I can solve this by dividing both sides by x. When I do that, I get y minus 8 is equal to 23, divided by x. That's 23 divided by x. So I'm going to put an x there. Okay, so then what I need to do in order to finish is add 8 to both sides. So y is equal to 23 divided by x plus 8. Okay, so that's, you can divide before you do distributive property, because as long as you're dividing both sides, it's okay. Now a lot of people don't recognize that, so they end up doing distributive property, and I'm going to show you that on the next one. Here I do distributive property, xy plus negative 8x equal to 23. So I just multiplied everything by that 8x. Then I need to add 8x to both sides. xy is equal to 23 plus 8x. These are not like terms, they cannot be combined. And then it's x multiplied by y, so I need to divide. When this happens, make sure you divide everything by x, every term. And those x's cancel out, and you get the same answer. Make sure to go on to Edmodo, take the quiz, rewatch anything that you need to ask questions on, maybe take note of what things you didn't know. That way you're ready for questions.